Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Book HQ. So today I'm going to be talking about the Darkest Minds movie. It came out in France August 8th. I went to watch it a couple of times, and what I have to say about it is that it is a mixed bag at best. I'm going to start with the good stuff. The good stuff is it had good lighting, and the wardrobe was nice. This film has some funny moments. I feel like Chubbs' character in the film really brings the comic relief. His performance was the best performance. Okay, here are some of the things that were problematic for me. They changed so many things that they didn't need to change. It didn't make the film better. It didn't add anything to the story. It just made it more confusing. I say this a lot about adaptations from books to screen, is that like when you're doing an adaptation, please do it in such a way that if I haven't read the book, the film will make sense to me. And so that if I have read the book, it still makes sense to me and I won't be upset about all the things that are missing that could have made it make sense. Like, I was so excited about this movie. You know when you really want to love a movie? I was psyched about this movie because I was crazy about the book series. I've read the books 3 times already, and I just wanted to continue living in this world in the form of the movie. The film doesn't do a good job of depicting the kind of struggle and context of this story. They are living in America, which is essentially a failed state / dictatorship. Their entire nation is broke. Government is broke. People are broke. They've defaulted on their home loans. There's lawlessness. There's lack in every area and deprivation. And you don't see that in the film. When we meet Liam and Chubbs and Suzume, in the book, they're dirty because they go days without bathing because there's nowhere to bath and they're living out of a minivan. In the book, like when Alexandra Bracken is writing, you know, she's talking about how they're hungry and how like when they're on the road, they've gone for like several days without bathing. So they're dirty and they're kind of smelly. She's talking about people's chapped lips from, you know, thirst and heat and suffering or cold. And in this film, like, you just do not get a sense of that at all. The kids who are on the run are clean. They are looking so clean. Their clothes are clean. Their skin is clean. Their hair is combed. They've got makeup on. And that just felt weird given the context of the story. Ruby's talking about how she has this power and she can't control it. But she can control it really well. She uses it to get information out of the tribe of blues that they meet at the mall. All the time she's using it, but then she's claiming she can't control it. And then the thing is that like she's using her powers all this time and her eyes glow orange, but Chubbs, Liam, and Suzume never see that she's using her powers. It never occurs to them that she's an orange. And it's like, guys, her eyes are glowing orange and she's being very purposeful about touching people and being like, you're gonna do what I want you to do. And you didn't see this, which is not like that in the book. They, like, you know, the movie doesn't do a good job of illustrating how the danger that they're in is multiple fold. They're on the run from the government, from PSFs, from skip tracers who are bounty hunters, from regular people who will turn them in for money because they're broke, from other Psy kids like them who are living as little independent tribes but are only able to do so because they turn Psy kids that they find into PSFs or into skip tracers. Like, there's a lot of danger for them. And you don't see that in the film at all. Like, when they decide that they're gonna go off and find East River, it's like, no one can ever find the road to our hideaway. They're like jumping over fences. They're not at all making any effort to hide or conceal themselves. It's a bright sunny day. And I was just like, but it just doesn't make sense. And even like when they go to the mall before they meet the tribe of blues, it's like, you guys are here to forage and to find supplies and leave as quickly as possible. Not them. They like decide to go-karting and like dancing in the lights. And you know, I was just like, but what did this add to the movie? Like, why? It doesn't make sense given the context. Then later on they go off and they find East River and they find Clancy, who doesn't look at all like what I thought he would look like. The way he's described in the book is very different to the person that they got to play him. But in the person that they got to play him's defense, he really did a good job of playing an evil guy pretending to be a good guy. Yeah. Wow, some of the dialogue in this film. At the beginning where they're still in Thurman and it's kind of been figured out that Ruby was an orange, and this warden goes to the doctor and is like, you don't know your job, so you can't tell the difference between reds and orange, so I'm gonna leave you in here with a red. It'll help you reacquaint yourself with the characteristics or whatever. And then he closes him in and the doctor's like, no! And this red is in there with like I don't know, like a plastic bag. Well, it's not a plastic bag, but like a bag over his head, and then you see like red glowing from inside. And then all we hear is like screaming and I guess singed flesh or whatever. And then the warden is walking off as we hear the doctor screaming in the background. And then he's rattling off commands, and then he stops and he's like, "Oh, we're gonna need a new doctor." And I'm like, "Tell me why." So then Ruby says this is like our own Hogwarts, because the Blues can float things, and they're floating these lamps, and they're having this like Coachella moment, bonfire type thing at East River. And then Liam says, "Oh, that would make you Harry Potter." He says, "And I would make me Ginny or Hermione." And then she's like, "But you know, Harry and Ginny end up together." And then they kind of laugh. And I'm like, this is so forced. Like, I'm embarrassed to watch. When you just don't know, hey? When you just don't know. At the end of the film, Clancy says to her, "I'll make you the perfect Ruby." And she's like, "I kind of like how I am." Tell me why. There's also this like moment in the movie where she's like, "I'm going back to my parents, freedom." And she goes back to her parents, and she realizes that she can't go back to them because she doesn't have a place in their lives anymore. And so she decides that she's leaving them also. And then she just kind of ends up in this like pop-up flash meadow. I don't know how she got there. And then Liam somehow knows that she's in this pop-up flash meadow, and he somehow appears in this flash meadow as well. And then they walk to each other, and she's like telling him why she's there. And then suddenly they want to kiss, and I'm like, yes, because that is the most logical response at this point, that you went home, you realized you don't belong there, and this boy now is here consoling you with a kiss. So then they almost kiss, but then for no reason that I can see, well, it isn't well explained then, but she explains it later on as the film goes on. She just like pulls away. Where is this coming from? It's like somebody gave me a seed, and suddenly like 30 minutes later the seed turned into a big mustard tree. And I don't know how it grew that big that fast. In the book, the romance between Ruby and Liam is so central to the story and so intense and so compelling. And in the movie, they rush it. It's like condensed, and they leave out all this like stuff that actually leads you to believing that these people actually like each other, and these people actually have chemistry, and that these people are actually in love. And so every time that they suddenly do decide, "Hey, let's make out," it seems weird and out of place and off. Is it that these films, when they get adapted into movies, they get dumbed down because I think people won't understand? Because I feel like they dumb them down so much, they don't make any sense. And then you don't explain anything. Let's continue with East River. So they're at East River, and Liam starts feeling left out. And then you see Ruby and Clancy getting close. And it's like, getting close, by the way, is like these shots of them sitting on the floor cross-legged with each other and just like laughing and laughing. And then Liam talks to her and he's like, "You know, why can't you share this stuff with me?" And she's like, "You don't understand. You're not an orange." This was changed from how it was in the book. They try to get away. Clancy stops them, but instead of stopping them with Hayes and Mike like he does in the book, he stops them with that warden who is like, "We're gonna need a new doctor." He appears there, and you know, Clancy actually is shipping these kids off to the camps, and you know, his whole plan is foiled. But then this helicopter appears and drops a parcel. They're like, "Drop the parcel." And the parcel is actually these reds, which they don't explain in the movie, but it's clear that they're supposed to be Clancy's Project Jamboree reds. And these reds are not even like people. They're like, it's like Drogon in people's bodies. They just drop to their knees, the bags are ripped off their heads, and then they open their mouths and literally breathe fire, like Drogon, Viserion, and Rhaegal. This is what they do. They breathe fire out of their mouths and burn everything. Why? And a huge central part of the story in the first book, they just leave out altogether. Like, they leave out the story of Jack in the movie. And so Chubbs doesn't end up getting shot by Jack's dad at the end. He ends up getting singed by the Drogon people. And then Ruby has this massive face-off with Clancy. Like, this fight goes from like 0 to 90 in 2 seconds. And she now can also like compel people without having to touch them, which, mind you, only happens in sort of the end of the second book with Mason. But in this movie, it's happening wham bam right there in the first book at the end, at that face off with Clancy. And then she compels one of the helicopter pilots to crash the plane into Clancy, and Clancy can see it happening, and he legit like waits till the last possible minute till he's almost slashed into a million pieces by the helicopter propeller before he moves. The weird music, like I said, the story is set in a very difficult, dark time. It's about child soldiers, it's about oppression, and the music in the movie is just like, it's like happy Pixar animation type music, and it just doesn't fit with the story. I have so much more that I could say about it, but it would end up making the video super long. Bottom line, I was extremely disappointed. Was the movie terrible? No. Could it have been better? Undoubtedly. Am I recommending that you go and watch it on the big screen? Totally. Go and watch it on the big screen, because in the end, you doing so supports the author. And to be fair, the author did an amazing job with her book series. Leave a comment in the comments below and stand a chance to win an audiobook version of The Darkest Minds, book by Alexandra Bracken. Thanks a lot for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, please go ahead and do so. Click on the bell so that you can be notified every time that I post a new video. And until next time, keep reading and keep watching. Bye-bye.